ICPC dropped a devastating revelation that shook the foundations of Nigeria's justice system. Their investigation uncovered concrete evidence that the federal government had paid exactly 50 billion naira in...
Yes, according to the information reaching us here. You know, a lot of quarters have their own take. They have their own way of analyzing this message. But I can tell you what I see, or rather, what I found out when I stumbled upon this video. On my left-hand side here, we have Nigerian newspapers who say something about this matter. But I'm going to take their headlines one after the other. Number one here is Punch newspapers. According to Punch says, and I quote, that the federal government of Nigeria have, a kind of, there is $50 billion for grab. Anybody who will sentence Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to buy, according to Punch. But according to ICPC, they said there is exposed $50 billion bribe to jail Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Are you jailing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that have been jailed before or another one? No. It's going for appeal. So I'm just here to tell you the real pictures of what is happening now, what is trending, and what the Fulani government is planning to do. There is a $50 billion for grab. Let me analyze this $50 billion. $50 billion by the rate of 1,371 naira per dollar. $50 billion is going to give us 67 trillion 593 billion Nigerian naira. Let me say it the way it is. 67 trillion 593 billion 1 kobo. That is the total amount they bring out for grab. This money is enough to change the narrative of Nigeria as a poverty capital of the world. I have been saying it on this my platform that Nigeria is the only country that the leaders will go to borrow money. In fact, money that is even above their GDP or their internally generated revenue annually. They just go borrow it to bribe people to close their mouth on the irregularities going on in their country. Are you aware of that? You are not aware of that, Abba? They are ready to pay 50 billion for anybody who is going to sentence Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to buy in. But if I may ask, why are they giving the Biafrans fake hope that, oh, Tinubu is going to do this, Nnamdi Kanu is going to be freed, whatever. But I know that the fight now is between Nigerian government and the American government. Do not forget about that. And how it will end, I don't know. But I know it's going to end in the favor of Biafrans and Nnamdi Kanu. Nigerian government will be a loser. In fact, they have been losing all these years. They are losing money, they are losing ground, and they are losing respect. In fact, they are losing a kind of what will I call it, visibility worldwide, because their visibility has been blocked. Nobody knows Nigeria now, unlike how they know Nigeria before as a giant of Africa. But now they have been reduced to poverty capital of the world. So when you are reduced to poverty capital of the world, nobody cares to even to search about you on the internet. Visibility of Nigeria on the internet now is at the lowest level. That when you go to X now, you see trending Nigerian news, 1,000 something. What is 1,000 something? Only trending portable news is over millions. Then Nigeria is 1,000 something. To tell you that Nigeria have been sidelined forever. I don't know how you want to understand this message, but I would like you to listen to this clip very well. But I have told you the true picture of what is happening. $50 billion, that is 67 trillion naira, 593 billion, 67 trillion, 593 billion naira up for grab. If you can come and identify yourself, oh, I can take this job, just like Omoto Show did during the time of, in the High Court. So now we are heading to appeal the sentence, right? 50 billion naira up for grab. 50 billion naira was paid to Motosho, and now another $50 billion was paid to Motosho. Now another 50 billion is up for grab. Anybody who is going to overturn that sentence to buy, that is to death by buying, or to buy by hanging, anyhow you want to explain it. I'm just trying to minimize the kind of words I use, because for all these social media apps, any small thing now they will ban you. So please let us listen to this clip, and then we will come back here for more discussion. Actually, watching, please like, share, comment, and make sure you keep subscribing for more interesting videos.
bribes to ensure Nnamdi Kanu received a life imprisonment sentence. The money was not scattered randomly. It was deliberately channeled to 5 senior advocates of Nigeria, SANs, who played central roles in the prosecution, along with the presiding judge, Justice James Omotosho. The ICPC team, working with forensic accountants and digital forensics experts, followed the money trail through a web of shell companies, private accounts, and coded wire transfers. Bank statements, transaction logs, and internal government memos painted a clear picture. This was not payment for ordinary legal services. It was a straightforward bribe package designed for one outcome only: the unlawful conviction and lifelong jailing of Nnamdi Kanu. The 5 senior advocates of Nigeria received the lion's share of the 50 billion naira. Each SAN was allocated portions ranging from 7 billion to 12 billion naira, depending on their level of involvement. The first SAN, a prominent
$50 billion, not billion naira. This TVC news, you and propaganda, see it the way it is, $50 billion. And Nigerian government is already planning on the mineral resources they are going to sell for eternity to get that money. Because that is how they do. Buhari sold the gas in Imo State and the one in Anambra State ahead. He sold them ahead of time. So that is how they rule you. They'll make sure that everything your future generation is going to need to succeed as a people have been mortgaged up front. It is $50 billion, not 50 billion naira. Please correct yourself if you are hearing me.
And Silk, known for high-profile government cases, collected 12 billion naira. He coordinated the overall prosecution strategy and ensured that weak links in the evidence were patched with manufactured documents. The second SAN, who handled witness preparation, pocketed 10 billion naira for scripting testimonies that aligned perfectly with the desired narrative.
Okay.
The third and fourth SANs, responsible for cross-examination and closing arguments, each received 9 billion naira to aggressively shut down any defense that could expose the flaws in the case. The fifth SAN, acting as a behind-the-scenes fixer, took 7 billion naira for liaising with court officials and suppressing inconvenient evidence. Every kobo was tracked. ICPC investigators recovered transfer receipts showing the funds moved from a special government allocation account through intermediary firms registered in Abuja and Lagos. Some payments were disguised as consultancy fees for national security matters, while others appeared as enhanced legal retainers. In reality, the money bought silence, cooperation, and guaranteed performance. The SANs did not just represent the government, they were paid to deliver a conviction at all costs. Justice James Omotosho was not left out. A significant slice of the bribe, confirmed at over 3 billion naira, went directly to accounts linked to him and his close associates. The judge received his payment in staged installments, an initial deposit after the trial commenced, a larger tranche midway through proceedings, and the final payment just before the judgment date. Internal notes recovered by ICPC showed explicit instructions: deliver the full package, life sentence on the major counts. Omotosho was paid to control the courtroom, dismiss valid defense objections, and ignore procedural violations that would have collapsed the case under normal circumstances. The timing of the exposure made it even more damning. The ICPC raid on several law chambers and private residences in Abuja yielded laptops, hard drives, and ledgers that matched the financial records. One recovered document listed the 5 SANs by code names alongside their exact bribe amounts and deliverables. Another file detailed how Justice Omotosho would structure his rulings to favor the prosecution at every turn. There was no ambiguity. The 50 billion naira was the price tag for turning the Federal High Court into a venue for a prepaid conviction. This was not a case of routine influence peddling. It was a systematic purchase of justice. The 5 senior advocates of Nigeria and Justice Omotosho had been contracted to jail Nnamdi Kanu unlawfully. Evidence that should have been thrown out was admitted. Witnesses who should have been discredited were protected. Motions that deserved granting were denied without proper reasoning. The entire trial process was bent to fit the outcome that 50 billion naira had purchased. The ICPC report laid it out plainly. The federal government did not trust the strength of its own case. Instead of allowing the law to run its course, it paid top legal minds and the judge to engineer a life sentence. Nnamdi Kanu was not convicted because the evidence proved terrorism beyond reasonable doubt. He was sentenced because 5 SANs and 1 judge had accepted billions to make sure he never walked free. The exposure left no room for doubt. Documents, bank trails, and witness statements from insiders confirmed the transaction. The 50 billion naira had one clear purpose: to buy the unlawful jailing of Nnamdi Kanu through the highest levels of the legal profession. The ICPC had the receipts, the transfers, and the agreement. The 50 billion naira bribe was not a vague rumor. It was a meticulously executed transaction designed to buy the unlawful conviction of Nnamdi Kanu. ICPC investigators pieced together the full payment structure from recovered bank records, signed acknowledgements, and internal memos. The 5 senior advocates of Nigeria received the bulk of the funds because they were the ones who could deliver the courtroom result the government wanted. Justice James Omotosho received his cut to guarantee the rulings that made the conviction inevitable. The money moved in clear, traceable stages. The first SAN, the lead prosecutor known for handling sensitive government matters, received 12 billion naira. His role was simple and direct: coordinate the entire prosecution team and ensure every piece of evidence, no matter how weak, was presented as ironclad. He personally oversaw the insertion of documents that had no proper chain of custody. He directed the team to ignore contradictions in the terrorism charges. For 12 billion naira, he sold the integrity of his office and turned the prosecution into a paid performance. The second SAN, responsible for witness handling, collected 10 billion naira. He scripted and rehearsed testimonies from prosecution witnesses to align perfectly with the narrative of terrorism. Witnesses who had earlier given conflicting statements were coached to change their stories. Exculpatory details were buried. This SAN ensured that cross-examination from the defense never exposed the lies. The 10 billion naira bought manufactured evidence and protected false witnesses from being discredited. The third SAN, who led aggressive cross-examinations and objection battles, took 9 billion naira. His job was to attack every valid defense motion and shut down any attempt to introduce evidence that could prove Nnamdi Kanu's detention or rendition violated due process. He argued forcefully against bail applications, against challenges to the court's jurisdiction, and against
To further clarify the amount, you can fast check me if I'm lying. Go to Sahara Reporters. Sahara Reporters said, breaking news: $50 billion up for grab for any attorney that is going to send Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to buy by hanging in the upcoming appeal court sitting. This one is Sahara Reporters. I know a lot of people don't believe in Sahara Reporters. Okay, these days say truth and reason. Is this really true? Now, federal government is ready to pay $50 billion to anyone that is going to convert Mazi Nnamdi Kanu sentence to buy. I don't want to use that, I don't want to use that word, that DD. I don't want to use it for some reasons, on some large extent, because that kind of word is not good to be used verbally. Vocally, if I'm allowed to use that statement. But I just want to clarify this billion naira. This is not billion naira. If it is billion naira, my brother, they are paying judges 50 billion naira. How much did they pay Omotosho? How much did they pay Sunday Igboho? And you are paying judges. You pay illiterate 50 billion naira. Then you are paying a learned and also a senior advocate of Nigeria 50 billion naira. Are you okay? I beg. This is reported from TVC. They will not tell you the real picture. That is why I hate them. Anyway, why am I even worried? Because TVC is Tinubu's TV station.
Seeking to exclude illegally obtained evidence. For 9 billion naira, he made sure the defense was strangled at every turn. The fourth SAN, in charge of closing arguments and final submissions, also received 9 billion naira. He crafted the summation that painted Nnamdi Kanu as a clear and present danger, urging the court to deliver the maximum sentence. He emphasized unproven links between Kanu's broadcasts and actual violence, while ignoring the lack of direct evidence tying him to specific terrorist acts. His 9 billion naira ensured the prosecution's narrative ended strong and unchallenged. The fifth SAN acted as the fixer and coordinator. He received 7 billion naira for managing communications between the legal team, government officials, and the judge's chambers.
Okay.
He arranged private meetings in secure locations outside the courtroom. He facilitated the flow of instructions and confirmed that each milestone in the bribery agreement was met. This SAN made sure the entire operation ran smoothly without leaks.
Okay.
Justice James Omotosho was paid over 3 billion naira in staged installments. The first tranche came shortly after the trial resumed under his watch. A larger amount was transferred midway through the proceedings once key defense motions had been dismissed. The final payment landed just days before the judgment date. ICPC recovered transfer details showing the funds moved through accounts linked to his associates, disguised as security consultancy or family support. The explicit instruction attached to his payment was clear: deliver a life sentence on the major terrorism counts. Omotosho fulfilled his part by ruling against the defense on every critical point. He admitted questionable evidence, overruled valid objections, ignored procedural breaches, and dismissed arguments about unlawful rendition and fair hearing violations. These secret payments turned the Federal High Court in Abuja into a transaction center. The 5 SANs and the judge did not apply the law. They executed a paid script.
Yes.
Defense evidence that could have dismantled the charges was suppressed. Witnesses who should have crumbled under scrutiny were shielded. Rulings that should have favored due process were consistently tilted toward the prosecution. The entire trial became a foregone conclusion the moment the first bribe installment cleared. The plot was unlawful from the root. Nigeria's Constitution and the Evidence Act demand that convictions rest on proof beyond reasonable doubt, not on purchased outcomes. Yet 50 billion naira bought exactly that: a conviction without genuine legal foundation. The SANs knew the case had weaknesses, gaps in evidence, questions over jurisdiction, issues with how Konu was brought back into the country. They were paid to ignore those weaknesses and manufacture strength where none existed. Justice Omotosho knew the same. He was paid to overlook them and deliver the life sentence the government demanded. The ICPC evidence left no room for misinterpretation. Ledgers listed the 5 SANs with their exact amounts and assigned tasks. Bank trails matched the dates of critical court rulings.
Musa Aliu, ICPC chairman, made it categorically clear that the issue concerning Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and the life sentence that they meted out to him, he said, and I quote, an Hausa man, or Fulani for that matter, said they have no any correlation between what they sentenced to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and the charges they leveled against him. According to him, he's just out there to rub it before the federal government that they use repaired law to jail Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. He spoke it indirectly, because when he said it directly, a lot of people is going to understand what he meant, and also they are going to come for Fulani government. So you have to use a kind of a adage or proverb to summarize the whole thing. Okay, we have a situation here. Somebody said something, said Judas of the Bible was righteous to compare with these judges because his late repentance made him to return the money, but these judges put their own bribe money in their bank account. But the bottom line, the bottom line was that he was not alive to eat, spend, or the money. These judges, will be different. Did you remember that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu caused them that God will punish them as they were taking him away from the courtroom to prison on that very particular day? I find it difficult to believe this. But anyway, nothing is impossible as long as this country called Nigeria is concerned. So according to this our commentator. Anyway, my people, now here we go take back break, and I go hear my voice again when I come back. There's not much time for we to control reading comments, because comments are also part of the messages that we need to deliver to my people. But I would like to hear from you what you think concerning this matter. You have a thought over it. How far are you? Do you agree with them, or you have a different opinion to what are just being concluded? I don't know about you. You have your mind and you have what you want to say. So please drop it at the comment section as quickly as possible. And people is also going to read from you. So have a nice day. I'm a regular control to bless us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media handles, and it shall be well with all of us.